beautiful day. I had, growing up, nobody ever really taught me to fish. My brother took me fishing. My oldest brother took me fishing once at a pond near our house. But it wasn't a public pond. It was a private pond in a cornfield. We just kind of snuck in. But we just took worms and put them on a hook and a bobber. That's how I learned how to fish. The first time was just that. And that was very effective. Very, very effective. As a matter of fact, that's how I fished for a long time. Still do, and that's how I'm fishing today. I have a little lure with a hook, but it's my son's pole. So I'm gonna use his pole a little bit today. Although if I catch something big, he's got, like my pole has like a 15-pound test. His is probably just what it came with. It's my guess. So we'll see. But from there, when I was a teacher, when I first became a teacher, I had summers off. And I went out and bought a boat pretty quick. At a pawn shop, I paid $450 for it. It was a boat. It was called the Thunder Chief. It was a 1970 something or other. It had a sparkling pink top. It was blue on the bottom. Very typical 70s runabout. And it was called a Thunder Chief. And my friends called it the Thunder Chick. Because it was pink. But it was great. And I learned a lot that summer, just getting out quite a bit more. Pardon me, I'm gonna put a bobber on this guy real quick. All right, I'm just gonna drag that line and see how that goes. To try to remember to keep an eye on it. I'm not sure on this lake if I can have multiple lines. I thought about having multiple lines, but I'd have to find out what the rules are first. The lakes in Missouri, they're different. If you're down at the Ozarks, it's 3. You can have 3 lines per person. Here, a lot of places it's 1 though, so I didn't want to get kicked out of here when I just got started here in the last 30 days. My dog wants to join me up here. Come on, buddy. Come on. As we've gone through Matthew 24 and 25 and we hit 26, we're at this place where the transition changes and Jesus is preparing for his death. And it says this in 26. Now it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings that he said to his disciples, "You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified." Then the chief priests, the scribes, the elders, and the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, "Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people." So the timing of this was not accidental at all. The timing of this was exactly perfect, in line with the Passover, because Jesus was the Passover. He was that first Passover. He was a representative of that when the Jews were escaping from Israel, or from Egypt. It was the final plague, was the moment where the angel of death was coming to the angel of death was coming to take the firstborn child of every family in Egypt, unless you took the blood of a perfect, spotless lamb and you painted on your posts. And that, of course, was a representative of Jesus' death. So he came here to die on Passover specifically as well. So don't let those things confuse you. That the timing of this was all perfect. And the people of God should have known better. They should have known that all of this was so perfectly timed. I'm gonna move you real quick. I want you to see that big giant bird there. I'll try to zoom in on him. His timing's always perfect. It's always perfect. And what's so peculiar is the Jewish leaders were so concerned about their rituals. And they were so concerned about the feast, the fall feast, they were so concerned about that feast of unleavened bread. They didn't want to cause an uproar during that, you know. And they'll definitely do the Passover right. You know, they'll make sure that that's correct, that they're doing that right. But meanwhile, they're plotting to murder somebody. And I can guarantee they felt righteous and justified in all of it. All of it. All of it made them feel justified. I bet they went home and thought God was so happy with them. Satan whispering in their ears, telling them to kill the Son of Man, the one begotten Son of God. And it made sense to them. And these rituals, the Passover, all of this is so ridiculous. You know, to be honoring the things that they're honoring is kind of like today, really. Rituals are so important. There's so many rituals that have come from just centuries of paganism. And these rituals are so important to people. They're so important to people. People, you know, you dare question these rituals. It's blasphemy. You know, you dare question the things that people are doing that the Church of Europe told them to do 700 years ago. You know, blasphemy. Things that aren't even in the Bible. You know, there's so many things that people are doing in the church today that it is not in the Bible at all. Priests not being able to marry, stuff like that. I can go on and on. So many things. Rituals. People love their rituals, man. These people who killed Jesus sure woke up and prayed right before it too. Bet they prayed at night. Probably said loud and boisterous prayers. Made them feel like they were the best Christians ever. It's funny how people are, you know. You know, the Passover, I'm going to go towards the middle a little bit. Passover is not just a representative of who Jesus is and what he did for us by saving us. But the feast that they're talking about, that's a representative of the judgment he has for us. And I find it very ironic that that's what they're concerned about. That they're actually concerned that there would be some sort of an uproar. That there be some sort of an uproar among the people. It's crazy. You know, the rituals that we have today. Sorry, I'm gonna grab my coffee from the sincere. You know, the rituals that we have today, like, some of them are so satanic too. You know, to not honor the Sabbath, to take the entire church out of the equation of honoring the Sabbath, seems a little crazy to me. You know, every Christian in America working or doing something unholy on the Sabbath because somebody convinced them that Sunday was the day. You know, and when it comes to the Sabbath, God didn't say, you know, he worked on Sunday through Monday, and you know, so it's really, in the end, it's about honoring. You know, you work for 6 days and keep one day holy and rest. It's about honoring that. You know, a lot of people work on Saturdays and Sundays, and Tuesdays is their Sabbath, and so it's not that, but it's changing it to such a degree to just fool an entire country into not honoring the Sabbath anymore. And here he is, dying on that moment in time of the Passover and the yearly Sabbath and the annual Sabbath and the weekly Sabbath, all just being ignored. Easter being destroyed, some sort of weird, been in the grave for a day and a half. Welcome the Easter Bunny. People don't like their rituals being messed with. And all these rituals haven't, you know, that they're doing, they're so irrelevant to what actually they represent. You know, these rituals they represent, these Passover rituals, they represent his death and resurrection. They represent so much more. They represent Judgment Day. And yet, here they are. The only thing they're concerned about is not making the people mad while they murder them. Now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, that he said to his disciples, "You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified." You know, he knew that's when it had to happen. I mean, he put it in the same sentences. Said, you know that the Passover is coming, and you know that I'm about to be crucified. And the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, "Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people." It's literally him declaring what Passover is and why he's doing it in that moment in one sentence. And then literally saying, well, let's just make sure we kill him and not make the people mad during the thing that represents Judgment Day. I'd say irony is appropriate, but we know that there's nothing ironic about it. It's definitely planned. God is so perfect. Everything he does is perfectly planned down to the second. Perfect. Every time. You know, just to kind of put this back on to today, you know, there's some things I've thought about talking about on this channel. They're not necessary for salvation, you know, but there are things that are so twisted and wrong with the church that you start to say them out loud and people get really angry. How dare you, you know, oh, now I don't listen to you anymore because you said that this thing. And just, you know, people got to get a realistic idea of what's a ritual and what it represents, and what's a ritual that you just created because your pagan deity from 800 years ago told you so. Or the Pope from the 1300s told you so. Or your pastor told you so. You know, watching a bobber is not nearly as fun sewing a crankbait in. But I've caught more fish off of a worm. But usually I kind of drag the bottom. I like to drag the bottom. It's catfish down there. Big old suckers. But I keep getting caught on the bottom. I tried that the other night. I make it about 2 feet and I get snagged on something. I think what this is about, because even this morning as I came out, I knew I wanted to stay on these verses for a bit, and I knew I had to talk about the Passover, but I really didn't know what I was going to say about it. But what I do know is that I believe this video is really just to show people how important rituals are to religious figures. Here they are, they're plotting to murder somebody, and they're concerned about rituals, what the people will think about hurting the rituals. You know, I don't think it's very different today, honestly. I think people are very concerned about rituals, and when they talk about concerns about what people might think, they're concerned, even if the word says this ritual is wrong, they're concerned to say that this ritual is wrong because they don't want to cause an uproar in the people. But they'll plot sexual immoralities, they'll plot thievery, might even plot murder. But they don't dare mess with those rituals. I think we all have to really examine our churches and how they are with their, you know, are these, I'm not saying get rid of rituals. God said to honor the Passover. What I'm saying is making sure the rituals are in line with what God says they're in line to do. Making sure they're appropriate. Making sure they're within the Word and within the law. Not just made up rituals or rituals for the sake of rituals. I think we really need to look deep into what our churches are doing with their rituals and how important they are to them. And what you're finding is oftentimes when a church will change their rituals, they're trying to appease the people, a paradigm shift or whatever it may be. It's just games and numbers. Change the rituals, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure they're in line with what God has. Not more important than God. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel, Patreon. That link is below. Most important part of this channel, We take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.